It is Friday, October 14th, 2022. This is another edition of Baseball Today, presented to you by our friends over at SeatGeek. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. Producer Rob is back with us as well, and we greatly appreciate it. All right, so because of a rain out, we've got 3 games on Friday. We've got 2 teams that have a travel day. So let's get right to it with a series that shifts from Atlanta to Philadelphia. The Atlanta Braves on Thursday did not name a starting pitcher for Game 3. Who would you go with? Spencer Strider, Charlie Morton, or someone else?
I think they're both going to pitch. The starter for me, I think I'm going Morton here. I think Snicker's probably going to lean the same way, only because Strider is just not stretched out. And if you are going to take this thing to 5 games, you are going to be playing 3 games in a row. You don't want to try to tax your bullpen that much at the beginning of those 3 games. That's basically the only reason you would do that. I think Strider right now is the better pitcher and the guy you'd want on the mounds, but Morton's probably going to give you a little bit more length. He is a big game pitcher, okay? He really is. I know like some of his numbers this year, not so great. What I think is going to happen is Morton's going to do what Morton can do. We'll see how he looks. Strider's going to come in at some point during the middle of the game. I think they want to give him a clean inning, so I don't think he's going to come in, put any fires out like that. I think he's going to have a few clean innings, and then we'll put the rest to the bullpen. So I think both of them are going to pitch, but if I had a lean and a choice, I'd probably go Morton. I think that's a smart play.
I think that you have to go Charlie Morton because Strider has only thrown, according to Brian Snitker, 1.5 bullpens. I don't know what the half a bullpen meant because isn't a bullpen still a bullpen if it's only 10 or 15 pitches?
Maybe it was a bullpen, like in the bullpen, and then one was like a live bullpen. I don't know.
Okay. Well, whatever it was. I've never heard the term 1.5, but we'll go with it. More importantly, he hasn't had what's called up downs. And that's when a guy is coming back from an injury and rehabbing. He'll pitch, a starting pitcher will pitch as though he's in a game. So he'll get his outs. He'll go sit down for a while. He'll rest. He'll sit around as though his team is hitting, and then he'll get back up. That is very different than just coming in for 1 inning of relief because you can lay it all on the line and you don't have to come back in. So I'm not so sure that Strider comes in. I like your philosophy, but he'll only come in if they've got a lead, in my opinion. Because Saturday, let's say they lose Game 3. Then on Saturday, what do? Is it Odorizzi? Do they start? Where do they go from there?
I understand what you're saying. And maybe they use him as an opener type for this game too. Mm-hmm. And maybe then you have Morton who, you could say, hey, like we're going to give you clean innings as well. Just go down there and prepare like you're starting, but your start's going to start in the 3rd inning. Maybe they do something like that. I know that Snicker said they were kind of talking about still this afternoon, trying to weigh all the different options. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do because when you have these 3 games back to back to back, and you don't have to go the 3 games, but it's possible. You have to look into the future a little bit as well, not just for this Game 3.
Yeah, well, certainly when a series is 1-1, there's no question. By the way, Strider this year, phenomenal against Philadelphia. 3 starts. 29 strikeouts, an ERA under 1.5, and he gave up only 7 hits. Very quickly, I want to ask you one other thing because Bryce Harper's swinging it good. 3 hits in Game 1, another one in Game 2, a couple of balls with an exit velo over 100 miles an hour. Is Atlanta going to start pitching around him pretty soon?
I think they're going to be careful and pick their spots with Bryce. I mean, he's susceptible to a strikeout here and there, so you can pick your spots with him if there's an open base or you don't like the matchup or you've seen some swings out of Bryce early in the game against the same pitcher that you don't like, then you start to do things. I don't think they're exclusively going to pitch around him because the bottom line is there's some bangers in that lineup and they could go off at any time. If Castellanos, is feeling it and you see him early in the game, barreling up a ball or his path looks great. You have to think about that too. So I think they'll be selective with Bryce. You surely don't want to let him beat you per se. But I don't think he's going to get like what Yordan's going to start to get in that other series.
Well, I would say this. It's all dependent on the 2 guys in front of him who have done diddly poo, as Jim Mora once said in the NFL coaching circles. Schwarber and Hoskins that combine 2 for 34, I believe, is what it is, with 14 strikeouts in the postseason. I don't think Schwarber's gotten a knock yet.
Mm-mm.
That is not good enough. Bryce Harper, too many times, is coming up with nobody on base or leading off innings. That is not a recipe for success for the Phillies. You put one or two guys on, they don't have a choice. And I'm telling you right now, I could see it in Harper's eyes. I could see it. Like he feels good about everything he's doing at the dish. So I want to see him get a chance with some dudes on. I think it'd be fun.
I'm going to correct your stats. It's actually 1 for 34, not 2 for 34.
See, I overshot the runway a little bit.
You overshot it a little bit.
1 for 34.
You know what? But I get it. And Shore was taking some bad swings. But again, these guys are veterans and they're proven MLB hitters. Like it could click just like that. It could be as simple as them getting back to Philadelphia.
Could be. Let's move to the other National League Series, which moves down the 5 freeway from Los Angeles to San Diego. Dodgers and Padres tied at a game apiece. It'll be Blake Snell on the mound for the Padres. Well, let's remember, did face the Dodgers. Game 6, 2020 World Series. That was the day the baseball gods touched his left shoulder, and he had something special going until he was pulled in the 6th inning, which ended up being a clinching game for the Dodgers. Do you think Snell can pull anything from that experience that evening into tonight's Game 3?
Of course, dude. Of course. It's a big game against the Dodgers. A lot of the same guys are in this lineup. Betts is going to be leading off just like he was in that game. And every time that you get to pitch in a stressful environment, you learn how to, temper that environment. You learn how to pitch in it. You learn how to slow everything down. Now, I understand in that World Series, it was in Arlington. It wasn't home crowds. It wasn't maybe as raucous as San Diego is going to be, but you learn to slow the moment down. It was still a World Series Game 6. Like, I think you can draw off any of those, good, bad, whatever happens in that game. The fact that you're in those games is important. So I think Snell will be able to draw off that game. He's been pitching well lately. I think that'll be more of, what happens in this game. He's been lights out. Can he continue to do that? And I do want to make a point of this, Chris. I went back and checked that box score. I wanted to see who was in the lineup. Do you know who the starting pitcher for the Dodgers was that game? Tony Gonsolin. He pitched an inning and 2/3 in that game. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. Snell did kind of go out of his way and say, listen, this is a much different lineup. And he felt like it's a more complete lineup. I mean,
there's a couple guys that came over that are pretty good.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Trey Turner is here. Freddie Freeman's here. We get it. But let's also remember Corey Seager was out of this world when he was in that lineup as well. I think it's more of, Snell faced the Dodgers, I think, 3 times this year. He did have a double-digit strikeout game. He faced him twice in the month of September. One time L.A. got him. One time he got L.A. I think the Padres would be thrilled if he gave him 5 really good innings to the point where they're still in this game. And I expect him to. I just hope that you talked about the atmosphere. He's a dude who, at the flip of a switch, the ball, the home plate can move on him a little bit. Home plate can move, and especially in this sort of atmosphere, it might be a little too much. That's one of the that's one of the key ingredients of Game 3 here. I think it'll be a lot of fun to watch. I do want to ask you one other thing about this. Dodgers went with Gonsolin instead of Tyler Anderson. You good with that?
I think so. I mean, Roberts has an explanation for it. He feels like after a day of rest, that their bullpen is more ready to attack, which will be a short start by Gonsolin. It's almost like kind of the exact opposite thing that we're talking about with the Braves. Snicker's like, I don't want to do that to my bullpen, in the midst of this 3-game in a row type thing, or 4 games or 3 games in a row. So I don't really understand that reasoning, but I don't think you can go wrong either way. And if Gonsolin does come in here and, has a rough start, the bullpen has to come in, then you could say, okay, Tyler Anderson, you have Game 4 and you have more length there. I guess that's what he's thinking.
Well, we know what are they going to get out of Gonsolin? 3 innings? I mean, he only
I
threw
think they'd
2.
be stoked with 3 innings.
I agree. So it is essentially a bullpen game, and I don't know, man. I think I'd rather throw Tyler Anderson here, get the lead, and then at the very least, you're going back to LA with your game one starter to try and win a fifth and final game.
Well, one of these guys have to start game 4, right?
Yes. Yes. So, and I know that if you throw Anderson and you don't win game 3, well, then you're relegated to a bullpen game regardless in a do or die game. So they're kind of screwed. This is the sort of stuff I brought up when they did not make a big enough move. Have we seen Dustin May yet?
I was just going to say that there's got to be some situation. We have the two guys that could go extended innings and really not blink or bat an eye in the Dodgers bullpen would be Heaney and Dustin May. We haven't seen either of those guys in these games yet.
Yeah.
So they're rested, ready to go. That might be some sort of combination there. You go Gonsolin to Heaney to May, get through the first 6 innings or something like that, and then you can bring your guys in.
Totally.
Sounds like a pretty good plan.
At least 6 innings. I mean, Heaney's strikeout rate was phenomenal.
If they did that, if you told Dave Roberts you can get through 6 innings and give up 2 runs and you go Gonsolin, Heaney to May, I think like deal.
Sold. Interesting stuff. One with the Padres starter and Blake Snell, one with what the heck the Dodgers are doing. I think it's going to be a phenomenal watch tonight. Once again, this edition of Baseball Today is presented to you by our friends over at SeatGeek. Few special instructions for you. Grab your phone. If you don't already have it downloaded, go to the App Store, download the SeatGeek app. Use the code JOMBOYPlayoffs. That's all caps. It's all one word. It's JOMBOYPLAYOFFS. You use that as the code, you're going to get 10% off your order, whether you are a first-time buyer or not. That's a big deal. Sometimes they don't let you do that if you're a repeat customer, only if you're a newbie. No. If you've used the SeatGeek app before, we still want to save you money. Here's the great thing about SeatGeek. They will get you the best deals, the best seats in the house to playoff baseball, to your favorite NFL team, check out college football. NBA gets started next week. Pucks have already dropped. Greatest concerts around, and they rate them. Every SeatGeek ticket is rated on a scale of 0 to 10, and they color code it. Green's good, red not so much. Green good, red not so much. So go download the SeatGeek app today. Use the code word JOHNBOYPlayoffs. Receive 10% off your order right now, whether you are a first-time buyer or a repeat customer. All right. We were only supposed to have 2 games today, but Mommy Nature said, nah, let's make it 3. So the Guardians and Yankees will play the first game of the day a little bit after 1 o'clock Eastern at the Boogie Down. Yankees lead the best-of-5 series 1-0. Who did the extra day off help, if anyone?
I'm not really sure. I've been kind of trying to wrap my brain around this a little bit because there are different types of advantages here. Number one, for sure, Bieber, this is the only game he's going to get to pitch in this series. Yep. So that, I think, tends to favor the Yankees. If they do get to a game 5, Garrett Cole is waiting there. You know it. I see the look on your face right now. You're not happy about that. So that comes in.
Actually, Garrett Cole would go game 4 because that would be a normal rest for him. Yep.
Well, that's okay. That's maybe even worse for you guys.
Yeah, but
then I started to think, okay,
let's just clear this up. Hold on. That part wouldn't have changed because Friday would have been a travel day to Cleveland. So game 3 would have been Saturday. Game 4 would have been Sunday. So Cole would have been pitching Sunday regardless. That's
okay.
He went Tuesday, he'd go Sunday.
There's a possibility that we have 4 games in 4 days.
Yes,
right?
Now that's true.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So I started thinking that means probably more bullpen usage. You're both going to have to throw a game 4 starter, Tyone versus Savale, I would assume. Yep. So, I mean, those guys are kind of a wash. The more bullpen usage, I think, favors Cleveland, but at the same time, you don't want to overshoot it and show everybody your pen every single day. Show everyone your pen. Jeez. Show your pen off every. I'm not trying to be funny.
Pen off.
Do you know what I mean? The more exposure that your bullpen gets, the worse it is for it. Okay.
Yeah,
But I think if you're
you
talking
don't
about
ever want to expose your pen too
I'm
much.
trying to do this serious and you're just not letting me do it. It's kind of a wash for me. I don't think there's really any advantage here. The only thing is, like I said, Bieber's not going to get to throw in this game no matter what. No short rest. They're not going to do that. Francona's already came out and said that no matter what, he's not going to pitch again. So I think that hurts Cleveland's chances a little bit, but the rest of it's kind of a wash. I think I'd give the depth of pen to Cleveland as well. So if it comes down to that, if there ends up being a game at the end, game 5, where it's pen versus pen, then I give it to Cleveland. But like I said, as of right now, I think it's a wash.
Doesn't matter right now. I mean, if Cleveland doesn't win on today, it's irrelevant. They just got to think about winning on Saturday, and then they'll go from there. That part doesn't matter. And for all these Yankee fans who are like, "Oh my God, well, our bullpen, Efros is done, and we're not as strong as we had hoped we would be at this time of year." And then, if it does go 5 games, then we're only going to get 1 day off if we have to face Houston. Stop worrying about that stuff. Both sides should just stop worrying. Whoever's there is there. Use them. Doesn't matter. I mean, actually, Aaron Boone went on Michael Kay's radio show and said, hey, if we have to go to 5 games, Nestor Cortez will be available in some sort of role. Unlike Terry Francona, who did meet with the media, by the way, unlike Booney. And he said, Shane Bieber's out. We're not going to use him in that situation. That's not how we're going to roll. So you'll see him on Friday, and that's the only time you'll see him in this series. I think we're looking for a story because all of a sudden it's compressed. It doesn't mean there's going to be 4 games in 4 days. Cleveland's got to win 1. Then we'll talk. Okay?
Bieber for 1 inning at the end of game 5 to close it out. Francona can't do it now.
If Emmanuel Clase has already been used in the 7th in a high leverage
situation.
I
don't know. Yeah, high leverage somewhere in that game. You know what I'm talking about, Chris. Don't put me in a corner like that.
I know. You know it's going to be fascinating? If Cleveland does win today or Saturday and prolongs the series, there's going to be some pitchers used at some point where both fan bases are going to be like, shit, 100%. That guy's in.
All these days are confusing me too. I apologize to people. We're recording this on a Thursday night. We're talking about Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and my brain is jumbled up. Game 1, Game 2, all this stuff. All these off days and separate days for the games.
Don't say that he's high because of it. All right. There was only 1 game on Thursday, and what a game it was again, as Yordan Alvarez, for the 2nd straight game, gives the Astros a lead after the 6th inning. He had a walk-off job in game 1. Then the one here in the 6th off of Luis Castillo gave Houston a lead it would not relinquish. Has he become baseball's most feared October hitter?
Of this postseason, I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, I know you have Aaron Judge sitting there, but what Yordan's able to do and what he's done in these big moments is unmatched right now. I mean, you were talking about a guy who was making coaches make decisions like walking him with a guy on first base in front of him, which is fine. There's still technically open bases, but you're choosing to face Alex Bregman with the pitcher that Alex Bregman in his last at bat went up top against. Like, you're making managers make these decisions, and Alex Bregman made them pay. Like, it's not only when he's coming through in these moments, which are obviously amazing, the walk-off homer, the bomb against Castillo, what a beautiful swing. You cannot teach that. Some of that right there is absolutely God-given talent. His ability to stay on all these pitches and cover all quadrants of the strike zone is unmatched. It is nuts. But even when he's not being pitched to, he's affecting the game. He's putting a runner in scoring position. Bregman gets a base hit, insurance run. I mean, he really is. I mean, he's the one guy. I mean, I don't think that they can pitch to him at all in Seattle. I think you really just have to take your chances with Bregman, and he'll probably make you pay, but at least Yordan's not beating you because he's going to beat you every time right now. He's locked in.
So it's interesting. I mean, he's been one of the top hitters in baseball, it feels like, over the last few years. But there are times where he has gone into ice-cold stretches for series. 2019 ALCS against the Yankees, he went 1 for 22. Last year in the World Series, he went 1 for 20, I believe, maybe 2 for 20. The point is that he can go. He can go the wrong direction. It's just not right now. It is not right now. And the Mariners are in some cases making decent pitches against him. In some cases, they're not. In the instance of a Robbie Ray delivery, I would take my chances with Alex Bregman. And by the way, I bet you Alex Bregman would say, yeah, you should take your chances with me.
He's had 2 great at bats against a guy that's really tough to have great at bats against. You know, with home run, then coming out first pitch, being able to do that. I mean, like 98 backdoor sinker, just driving it to right field. His swing is so locked in too. But I agree. I mean, I would attack him. And even though how he's been good and he's answered the bell, like you still have to go after him.
And by the way, I listened to Scott Service's post-game press conference after Thursday's loss. He was phenomenal in it. He was just sitting there like, he's like, it wasn't a bad pitch. He goes, he's just so locked in right now. It's you know, he's like, our process is right. It's just the result is wrong. And that's the hardest thing about baseball. It really is. It's the one sport where the process sometimes can be right and the result sucks.
Oh, yeah.
It's really tough.
And Yordan's gone. Upper tank to right field. Crawford boxes at about a zillion miles an hour off the bat against Castillo. I mean, it doesn't matter where you pitch this guy right now. The barrel's going to be there, and the ball's going to be launched.
Well, I'm excited, though, to see a playoff game in Seattle. We haven't seen it in more than 2 decades. I can't wait to see that on Saturday. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. But that gets us to our last question. You can have only 1 ticket tonight. Are you going to Petco for their first playoff game in front of fans since 2006? Or are you going to Philadelphia, where they are having any sort of playoff game for the first time since 2011?
I don't like this question at all because, Chris, you're going to make one fan base mad at me because I'm going to say, I really like this atmosphere. Yes, you are. This is going to happen, bro. But yeah, I don't care. I don't care, Chris. I have an answer.
Yes.
I'm going to San Diego, and I have good reason why, okay? My brother lives down there who I don't get to see a lot. They have great craft beer at the stadium. I do think that place, regardless of what everyone in LA is saying, oh, that's our second home. We're always down there. It's going to be blue. I don't think so. I think people in San Diego are going to come down there and they're going to show up to the park and it's going to be an awesome atmosphere. So 1, it's close for me. I don't got to fly. I can drive. I get to see my brother and his family. They got good craft beer. And I want to see the San Diego faithful come out and do the damn thing. So I think they have a chance in the series, Chris.
Hey, by the way,
love you, Philly.
I'll ride shotgun in the diamond lane with you because that's where I'm going too, because our oldest son lives down there. So that's good enough for me. And if I did not have a son that lived down there, it would be tough. You obviously played in Philadelphia. I covered a World Series in Philadelphia, and that place is nuts. It's nuts. Most of it in a good way, some of it in not. I just can't wait. I'm just going to be watching. Yeah. I'm going to plant myself on the couch starting at 10 a.m. West Coast time, and I'm probably not going to move. In fact, I might have to bring like a trucker's buddy to the couch because I don't even know if I'll go to the bathroom.
That's disgusting. All of these atmospheres have been great so far. I'm very excited for baseball in that regard. Look, if I was in Philly, would I go to Tired Hands Brewing, get a pint, then head over to the park? Yes.
Trying to get a freebie. I like it. Don't forget, you can catch Plouffe on Talking Baseball with Jimmy and Jake. They're doing it every day during the postseason, which is awesome. Latest episode of the Rose Rotation is out with Tyler Glass now. He joined us from his car. He was phenomenal. He's always great, but this one just had, I was like belly laughing several times throughout it. It's really, yes.
Why do guys got to do it in their car? They're so busy. I don't understand.
Yeah, he was doing me a favor. I caught him kind of last minute, and I was like, hey, do you mind hopping in for 25, 30 minutes today? He's like, yeah. But at that time, he said, I'm just getting done with the gym. Can I do it from my car? And I said, yeah. It was actually really fun.
He's the best, dude.
He is a good dude. All right, so we are off during the weekend. We'll be watching the games just like you guys. We will be back at it again on Monday. We'll send out a time either on Sunday night or early Monday morning to let you know. We think it's going to be 11:30 live on the AMP app. And then, of course, it's available in podcast form and our YouTube channel. So
Yes.
for our one-of-a-kind, amazing producer, Robbie Scirocco, and Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. Enjoy the baseball this weekend. We'll see you Monday on Baseball Today.